Rain was falling softly over the small coastal town of Seabrook, turning the sidewalks into shimmering mirrors and filling the air with the scent of wet pavement and sea salt. Inside a quiet garden cafe, a table for two sat waiting by the window, the single white tulip in its vase bending gently under the soft draft of the open door. Emily Harper sat there, fingers nervously tracing the rim of her coffee cup, watching every raindrop slide down the glass as though it carried a story of its own. She wasn't supposed to be alone. Not tonight. Tonight was supposed to be her new beginning, her chance to move on from the heartbreak that had consumed the last 3 years of her life. If you believe in kindness, destiny, and second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because sometimes the most unexpected people walk into your life exactly when your soul needs them most. Emily had met Daniel, or rather, was supposed to meet him, through a friend who swore he was the kind of man who'd make her smile again. After losing her fiancé Mark in a tragic accident just weeks before their wedding, she had promised herself never to open her heart again. But after years of emptiness, she had finally agreed to one blind date. One chance to let the world surprise her again. Yet, as the minutes ticked by, it became painfully clear that Daniel wasn't coming. 45 minutes had passed. Her coffee had gone cold. The candle on her table had burned halfway down, the wax forming a soft puddle like melted hope. The waitress, a kind older woman named Ruth, gave Emily a sympathetic smile as she passed by. "Still waiting, sweetheart?" she asked softly. Emily nodded with an awkward laugh that was half sadness, half embarrassment. "Maybe he's just stuck in traffic," she said, though even she didn't believe it anymore. Outside, the rain slowed to a drizzle. Parents hurried past with umbrellas, children splashing through puddles, laughter echoing faintly. That's when Emily noticed them, two little girls no older than 4 or 5, standing near the cafe's entrance, holding hands and looking around curiously. They were identical twins, the same soft blonde hair, the same curious blue eyes, the same matching lavender dresses now speckled with raindrops. They seemed to be searching for someone. Emily watched as one of them pointed toward her table. The other nodded and whispered something. Before she could process what was happening, the two marched right inside, their tiny boots squeaking against the wooden floor. They stopped beside her table and looked up at her with the kind of innocent confidence only children could have. "Are you our new mommy?" the smaller one asked. Emily froze, blinking in confusion. What?" she stammered, glancing around the cafe as if expecting someone to appear behind her. The second girl nodded earnestly. "Daddy said a pretty lady would be here, and you're the prettiest one here." A few nearby customers chuckled quietly at the unexpected scene, and Emily couldn't help but smile despite her confusion. "Sweethearts," she said gently, "I think you might have me mixed up with someone else." But the girls didn't seem convinced. They climbed up onto the empty chair across from her, sitting side by side, swinging their legs in unison. "Daddy said he was coming to meet a nice lady today," the older twin said. "He told us to wait in the car, but it was boring, and we saw you sitting alone. So we thought maybe you're her." Emily's heart softened. The innocence in their voices reminded her of the life she once dreamed of. The laughter of children, the warmth of family, the mornings filled with pancakes and love instead of silence and grief. "Well," she said with a kind smile, "I was supposed to meet someone, but it looks like he changed his mind." The girls looked at each other, then at her, their little faces full of concern. "That's not nice," the older one said firmly. "Daddy says good people never leave someone waiting." Emily laughed softly. "Your daddy sounds like a good man." "He is," said the younger twin proudly. "He makes the best pancakes and funny faces when we're sad. But he's sad a lot lately. Mommy went to heaven last year." Her smile faltered slightly, and in that instant, She felt a quiet ache connect her heart to theirs, a shared loss, different but deeply understood. She looked at the twins again, her throat tightening as she realized fate might have led them here for a reason. Moments later, a man came rushing in, rain-soaked and breathless, holding his jacket in one hand. He stopped short when he saw the scene, his two daughters sitting with a stranger, giggling beside her coffee cup. He looked between them, eyes wide. "Girls," he exclaimed, "you can't just—" But then he saw Emily, and the words trailed off. For a heartbeat, neither of them spoke. It was as if the air between them shifted, charged with a strange familiarity neither could explain. "I'm so sorry," he said quickly, brushing the rain from his hair. "They must have wandered in while I was parking. This must look terrible." Emily shook her head, smiling softly. "No harm done. They're wonderful company." He chuckled, embarrassed but grateful. "I'm Jack," he said, "and these two little troublemakers are Lily and Emma." The girls beamed proudly. "We found her, Daddy. We found your date." Jack blinked, looking confused. "My what?" Emily's eyes widened. "Wait, Daniel?" Jack's face shifted in realization, and then laughter. "You're Emily Harper? I'm so sorry. Daniel is my middle name. I go by Jack most of the time. I didn't expect." He stopped, shaking his head, laughing again. "I can't believe this. My daughters just found my blind date before I did." And just like that, the tension melted. Emily laughed too, and the cafe filled with the soft hum of conversation again. The awkwardness that might have lingered between two strangers evaporated under the sparkle of the twins' joy. They ended up talking for hours, about books and movies, about how Jack's wife had passed away from an illness the year before, and how he'd been trying to be both father and mother to his daughters ever since. About Emily's past, her fear of loving again, and the way life sometimes forces you to heal when you least expect to. Lily and Emma colored on napkins, interrupting every few minutes with innocent questions that made both adults laugh. By the time the cafe lights dimmed and the last rays of sunlight faded beyond the trees, it no longer felt like a blind date gone wrong. It felt like the beginning of something fragile and real, something that scared Emily but also filled her with a warmth she hadn't felt in years. Over the following weeks, they kept meeting, sometimes at the same cafe, sometimes at the park, sometimes at the beach where the twins would build sandcastles, while Jack and Emily talked for hours. Little by little, laughter replaced silence, hope replaced hesitation, and love, quiet, patient love, began to take root. But healing isn't always easy. There were moments when Emily pulled back, afraid of repeating her past, afraid of losing again. There were nights when Jack stayed awake, wondering if he was betraying the memory of his late wife. Yet every time doubt crept in, those two little girls would crawl into their laps, holding their hands together and saying, "Don't be sad. Mommy sent you both to us." And somehow that was enough. Enough to keep going, enough to believe that broken hearts could still beat beautifully again. Months later, on a bright spring morning, the cafe once again held the scent of tulips and coffee. Emily sat in the same seat by the window, but this time her heart was full. Jack walked in, holding a bouquet of tulips, yellow, pink, and white, just like the ones from that first day. The twins ran ahead of him, giggling, carrying something small and shiny in their little hands. They climbed up on the bench and placed the object in front of her, a simple gold ring tied with a lavender ribbon. "Daddy says we're a family now," Lily whispered. "Will you be our forever mommy?" Emma added. Emily's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Jack, who stood smiling nervously, his heart in his eyes. "Emily," he said softly, "you saved me in ways you'll never understand." And in that moment, under the gentle warmth of the morning light, she realized something profound. She hadn't just found love again, she had found home. If this story touched your heart, Please like, share, and subscribe to support more emotional, real-life stories that remind us of the beauty of second chances. Special request, tell us in the comments, do you believe destiny brings people together when the time is right? As the cafe door closed behind them and laughter echoed through the garden, Emily looked back once more at the table where everything began. One cup of coffee, one empty seat, and two little matchmakers who turned an empty blind date into a new beginning. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive when you expect it. It arrives when two little voices look up at you and ask, "Are you our new mommy?"